sisters. My name is Courtney Beas, and I don't know a lot of you, so my husband and I lead the East Bay region of the San Francisco church. And we have a little chant in the East Bay. I'm not going to do it for you guys, but I'm very grateful to be in San Francisco with Jason and Sarah leading the East Bay, the Cal Berkeley campus ministry, along with my husband, Jacob. And there's a water bottle up here. I don't know whose it is. But one thing you learn about me is I am radical in just having no boundaries. And the Lord knew I needed that. So the title I've been given is Radical Baptisms, and I've been assigned the woman at the well from John 4. I'm grateful because both Michelle and Elena have touched on the Samaritan woman, and I know it's a story most of us know well, but if you could just turn to John 4 with me. Now, the radical baptisms is kind of a funny thing because every baptism really is radical, right? Or at least should be radical. And, I was thinking about, it's so funny to see Rebecca up here like do yesterday. And I thought about Nicodemus in John 3 when he's like, how can I be born again when I've already, and I was thinking, wow, this little Kiva, she's going to have a radical baptism any day, but it's not the kind we're looking for. So, and then I'm going to follow behind a couple months later. But the context of the passage in John 4 with the Samaritan woman, as most of us know, she was the Samaritan. They were like half-breeds, as Elena referred. There was extreme prejudice. Not only were they very down on women, but a Samaritan woman is the lowest of the low. And so in thinking about, radical baptisms and seeing this woman be converted, I think we first have to look at Jesus' radical example to even be talking to this woman, right? And so I love something that Michael said today where he said, boldness is to tell it all. And I think when I think about Jesus and this woman at the well, Jesus was so bold to tell her the truth. And the first way to get radical baptisms is to really tell people the truth. We cannot be women that skirt around issues. We got to really look for the bumps that the women have to go through to have a radical conversion. If we are afraid to go there with women, if we tiptoe around issues, you will only live to regret it. What you don't deal with before baptism, you will deal with after baptism, and it's so much worse. So having just imitating Jesus' example to tell women the truth, it was also radical that Jesus was willing to spend time with this woman. She was not someone anyone would have wanted to spend time with. And yet Jesus obviously saw something in her that was worthwhile. Another way that Jesus was really radical was that, he talked to just this one woman, not the whole town, because he was able to see if I can reach this one woman and she has a radical baptism, it's going to affect the whole town. And I think for us as leaders, as we want to be great church builders, we have to really pray for that discernment of who we are supposed to be focusing on. And really learning how to focus on the few and not the many or the masses, because you really don't get anything done. And it can be challenging as leaders to know exactly who should be focusing on. And I think, for me, I can be naturally very timid and insecure. So to come to a conference talking about radical and boldness is so good for my heart. I need this, But sometimes you see women and they're intimidating. They're so beautiful. They're so smart. They have, they've accomplished so many things. And a lot of times those are the women, like God has specifically put them in your path for you to not be scared of them, but to teach them what they're lacking, what they're missing, Radical baptisms are generally not the easiest. They're generally not the easiest baptisms, but they pay off in dividends. They really do. And so really praying to have focus of praying to have that focus of who you should be focusing on. And if someone's not open, praying that God makes that clear. I pray that all the time. Lord, if this woman is not open, please remove her. Get her out of the way, because I want to focus on open people. She was there to get water at the well, and we see her here, when she was having this little conversation with Jesus, she was there at a time when women don't usually go to the well to draw water. So I think we can conclude she was trying to avoid the rest of these women. She didn't want to be around these women, but Jesus saw through all of that, and he made the time to talk to her. And so when she came to the water and he asked her for a drink, and she said, "How can you ask me for a drink? For Jews do not associate with Samaritans," she saw something so different in Jesus. And we have to be those women that are willing to go into the brothels, like Michael and Michelle's example. We have to be those women that are willing to go there and have those hard conversations with people. And we see how fruitful Jesus' little afternoon with this woman was. As was referenced earlier in verse 39, it says, many of the Samaritans from that town believed in him because of the woman's testimony. Jesus knew exactly what he was doing when he went up to this woman. He knew exactly what was going to happen when he reached out to her. She said, he told me everything I ever did. So when the Samaritans came to him, they urged him to stay with them, and he stayed 2 days. And because of his words, many more became believers. So when we have radical baptisms, you will see not just a radical baptism, you see a flurry of radical baptisms. And I'm so grateful, honestly. It's a gift of God to be here at the EMC. This has been my life's dream. My life's dream has been to come to the EMC. And I don't know how many you guys have had, but every single one I wanted to be at. Everyone. And really, so I feel so loved by God. I didn't necessarily want to come to Europe and, be about to have a baby and everyone saying, are you allowed to fly? And I was like, well, I'm flying. Because I was planning on coming before we got pregnant, and nothing was going to stop me. But I think it's so special for Jacob and I because, Michael is my great-great-grandfather in the faith. And talk about a radical baptism. Jacob and Michael were best friends in the world. Jacob always says Michael discipled him on worldliness. And when Michael became a disciple, it was a radical change. 3 years later, Jacob became a disciple. It was a radical change. Jacob reached out to Dustin Miller, we've been friends since the 3rd grade. Dustin was engaged to Amanda. We've been best friends since we were 15. And so Jacob is my spiritual grandfather. So you see, one radical baptism leads to so many more radical baptisms. And, as I finish up here, and I'm just so grateful to be a part of something locally, to be able to be here at the EMC, because last year at Sacramento State, actually about 1 year and a couple days ago, we were able to baptize Lisa Lutet. She's right here. Stand up. Stand up, Lisa. She's from Paris now. She was baptized in our campus ministry at Sacramento State, and she was our first dorm baptism. After Lisa got baptized, it was a radical baptism. So many more dorm students got baptized. One very special one was Chanel Tink, who is now in the West region. So Chanel is now in Oxford with that sister Kiki that they were just talking about. So radical baptisms are so beneficial because they will lead you to the leaders, and so many more women need to be raised up to go and plant these churches, as Elena was saying earlier. So I love you very much. Thank you, ladies.